The Discipline Code. How to reprogram your mind for success. Before we begin this journey, it is important to understand the central idea behind this audiobook. What exactly is the Discipline Code? The Discipline Code is not a secret formula. It is not a motivational trick. And it is certainly not about forcing yourself to work harder every day. Instead, the Discipline Code is a mental operating system, a way of thinking and behaving that allows you to consistently do what is necessary, even when motivation disappears. In simple terms, the Discipline Code is the internal rulebook that governs your actions when comfort, distraction, and temptation try to pull you away from your goals. Every successful person in history has followed some version of this code. Athletes who train while others rest. Entrepreneurs who keep building despite repeated failures. Students who continue studying while the world around them is distracted. What separates them from everyone else is not talent. It is discipline. But here is the truth most people misunderstand. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something that is programmed into the mind through consistent decisions and deliberate habits. And in the modern world, discipline has become more valuable than ever before. Why? Because the world is now designed to destroy it. Your phone competes for your attention. Social media competes for your time. Entertainment competes for your focus. Every notification, every algorithm, and every endless scroll is engineered to capture your attention and keep you comfortable. But comfort is the natural enemy of discipline. Comfort whispers, "Do it tomorrow. Take a break. You deserve to relax." And while there is nothing wrong with rest, the problem begins when comfort becomes a lifestyle. When comfort becomes your default setting, discipline slowly disappears. Goals remain unfinished. Dreams remain ideas. Potential remains unused. The Discipline Code exists to reverse that process. It is a framework for retraining the mind to choose progress over comfort, effort over distraction, and long-term success over short-term pleasure. Think of it like rewriting the software of your mind. Right now, most people operate with a mental program that prioritizes convenience and immediate rewards. But the Discipline Code replaces that program with something stronger. It installs a new internal rule. Do what must be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Because feelings are temporary. Motivation is temporary. Energy is temporary. But discipline creates consistency. And consistency is what builds extraordinary results. The Discipline Code is built on a powerful truth. Success is rarely about dramatic moments of inspiration. It is about the quiet decisions you make every day. Choosing to wake up early. Choosing to finish what you started. Choosing to stay focused when distractions appear. These decisions may seem small, but over time they compound. Just like interest in a bank account, small disciplined actions accumulate into massive outcomes. A single workout will not change your body. A single study session will not make you an expert. A single productive day will not build a successful career. But repeated daily discipline creates transformation. This is the essence of the Discipline Code. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. Not about motivation. But about structure. Not about occasional effort. But about daily commitment. And once discipline becomes part of your identity, something remarkable happens. The things that once felt difficult begin to feel normal. Productive habits become automatic. Distractions lose their power. Your mind begins to operate with clarity and purpose. At that point, discipline is no longer something you force. It becomes something you embody. This is why disciplined people often appear calm and focused. They are not constantly battling themselves. They have already trained their minds to follow the code. And this code can be learned by anyone. You do not need extraordinary talent. You do not need perfect circumstances. You only need a willingness to reprogram the way you think about effort, habits, and progress. Throughout this audiobook, you will discover how discipline works on a psychological level. You will learn how habits shape your behavior. You will understand how modern distractions weaken mental strength. And most importantly, you will learn practical strategies for installing the Discipline Code into your daily life. By the end of this journey, discipline will no longer feel like punishment. It will feel like power. Because discipline gives you control. Control over your time. Control over your actions. Control over your future. And in a world where most people are controlled by distractions, impulses, and temporary pleasures, that level of control becomes one of the greatest advantages you can possess. This is the beginning of the discipline code. And once you understand it, the way you approach your goals, your habits, and your life will never be the same again. Narrator transition. You have just explored the core meaning behind the discipline code. In the next section, we will move into the introduction, where we will examine why discipline has become one of the most powerful and necessary skills in the modern world. Introduction: Why discipline determines your future. You've just explored the core meaning behind the discipline code, the idea that discipline is not a personality trait, but a programmable mental operating system. Now we move deeper. Because understanding discipline is only the beginning. The real question is this: why does discipline determine your future? At first glance, success in life appears to depend on many different things. Talent, opportunity, education, connections, luck. And while these factors can influence a person's path, there is one factor that consistently separates those who achieve their goals from those who struggle to move forward. That factor is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between potential and reality. Every person has potential. Every person has ideas. Every person has goals they hope to achieve someday. But only disciplined individuals turn those hopes into consistent action. And action, repeated over time, is what shapes the direction of your life. Think about it this way. Your future is not determined by a single decision. It is determined by thousands of small choices you make every day. The decision to wake up early or hit the snooze button. The decision to work on your goals or postpone them. The decision to stay focused or give in to distraction. Each choice may seem insignificant at the moment. But over weeks, months, and years, those decisions accumulate. They form patterns. And those patterns become your life. Discipline is what ensures that those patterns move you forward rather than holding you back. Without discipline, goals remain vague. You might start something with enthusiasm. A new project. A fitness plan. A business idea. A personal improvement journey. But when the initial excitement fades, and it always does, progress stops. This is where most people lose momentum. Not because they lack intelligence. Not because they lack resources. But because they lack the structure and consistency that discipline provides. Motivation can start a journey. But only discipline can sustain it. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Some days you feel energized and ready to conquer the world. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. If your actions depend on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. But discipline changes that equation. Discipline removes the emotional negotiation that happens inside your mind. Instead of asking yourself, "Do I feel like doing this today?" the disciplined mind asks a different question. Is this necessary for my long-term goal? If the answer is yes, the action happens, regardless of mood or comfort. This is why discipline is so powerful. It turns effort into routine. And routine turns effort into progress. But in the modern world, discipline faces a powerful challenge. We live in an environment designed to weaken our ability to focus and persist. Distractions are everywhere. Endless streams of entertainment are available at any moment. Social media platforms compete for your attention. Notifications interrupt your concentration. Algorithms are carefully engineered to keep you scrolling, clicking, and consuming. This environment makes discipline more difficult than ever before. But it also makes discipline more valuable than ever before. Because when most people are distracted, the disciplined individual gains a massive advantage. While others delay their goals, disciplined people keep moving. While others chase temporary pleasures, disciplined people invest in long-term results. And over time, that difference becomes dramatic. Two people may start in the same place. They may have similar intelligence, similar resources, and similar ambitions. But if one person consistently applies discipline while the other does not, their paths will slowly separate. Months pass. Years pass. And eventually their lives look completely different. One person builds momentum, achievement, and growth. The other remains stuck in cycles of distraction and procrastination. This is the quiet power of discipline. It does not always produce instant results, but it creates unstoppable momentum over time. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal success. Once disciplined habits begin to compound, progress becomes easier. Productive routines become automatic. Confidence grows. Goals that once seemed impossible begin to feel achievable. But reaching that point requires something many people underestimate: a decision. A decision to stop relying on motivation alone. A decision to stop waiting for the perfect moment. A decision to take responsibility for your habits, your time, and your focus. That decision marks the beginning of the discipline code. Because once you commit to discipline, you stop negotiating with distractions. You stop postponing your progress. And you start building the mental strength required to shape your future deliberately. Throughout this audiobook, you will explore the deeper mechanics behind this process. You will discover why discipline sometimes feels difficult. You will learn how your brain forms habits and patterns. And you will uncover practical strategies for strengthening your ability to focus, persist, and follow through. Each chapter will build upon the last, gradually guiding you toward a new way of thinking about effort, consistency, and success. By the time you reach the end of this journey, discipline will no longer feel like an obstacle. It will feel like a tool. A powerful tool that allows you to shape your future with intention rather than leaving it to chance. Because in the end, discipline does something extraordinary. It turns ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. And the person who learns to master discipline gains one of the most valuable advantages in life. Now that we understand why discipline determines your future, it is time to explore the challenge that makes discipline so difficult in the first place. The modern world is facing a growing problem, one that quietly weakens focus, resilience, and self-control. In the next chapter, we will examine this problem in depth. The discipline crisis. And once you understand it, you will begin to see why so many people struggle to stay consistent, and how you can avoid the same trap. Chapter 1: The Discipline Crisis. Why modern life is making people weaker, distracted, and unfocused. We now enter the first part of this audiobook, Understanding Discipline. Before we can build discipline, we must first understand why it has become so difficult to maintain in the modern world. Because the truth is simple. The problem is not only personal. It is environmentally friendly. We are living in what could be called a global discipline crisis. Never before in human history have people had so many opportunities for growth, learning, and success. At the same time, never before have there been so many forces competing for our attention, our time, and our focus. Every day, millions of people wake up with good intentions. They want to improve their lives. They want to exercise more, study more, build something meaningful, or work toward long-term goals. But by the end of the day, many of those intentions disappear. Time slips away. Focus disappears. Distractions take over. And slowly, progress fades into postponement. This is the discipline crisis. A silent struggle that affects individuals across the entire world. But to understand it clearly, we must examine what has changed. For most of human history, life demanded discipline as a requirement for survival. Farmers had to wake before sunrise to tend crops. Craftsmen spent years mastering their trade. Scholars studied for long hours with limited resources. Daily life required patience, effort, and persistence. Discipline was built into the structure of life itself. But the modern world has transformed that structure. Today, technology has made life faster, easier, and more convenient than ever before. Information is available instantly. Entertainment is available endlessly. Comfort is available everywhere. While these advancements have improved many aspects of life, they have also introduced a powerful side effect. They have weakened our natural ability to delay gratification. Consider the environment most people live in today. A smartphone is always within reach. With a single tap, you can access social media, videos, games, messages, and endless streams of content designed to capture your attention. Each notification promises something new. Each scroll offers another moment of stimulation. These systems are not random. They are carefully engineered. Technology companies invest enormous resources into understanding human psychology. Their goal is simple: keep users engaged for as long as possible. Algorithms analyze behavior. They learn what captures your attention. They present content that triggers curiosity, excitement, or emotional reactions. And the longer you stay engaged, the more valuable your attention becomes. This is why distraction has become so powerful. Because it is no longer accidental. It is designed. The result is an environment where focus is constantly under attack. And when focus weakens, discipline weakens with it. Think about how often people switch between tasks during a typical day. Checking a message. Opening a social media app. Watching a short video. Responding to another notification. Then returning to work or study for a few minutes before another interruption appears. Each interruption may seem small, but each one fragments attention. And fragmented attention makes sustained effort difficult. Without sustained effort, discipline cannot develop. This is one of the central problems of the modern discipline crisis. The brain is being trained to seek constant stimulation rather than deep concentration. Over time, this changes how people think and behave. Tasks that require patience begin to feel uncomfortable. Long periods of focused work feel exhausting. Activities that once required dedication now compete with instant entertainment. As a result, many people begin to avoid difficult tasks altogether. Instead, they gravitate toward quick rewards. Scrolling through content. Watching short videos. Consuming information without applying it. These behaviors create a cycle. A cycle where the brain becomes increasingly dependent on short bursts of stimulation. And the more the brain adapts to this pattern, the harder it becomes to maintain discipline. But distraction is not the only factor driving the discipline crisis. Comfort also plays a powerful role. Modern society places enormous value on convenience and ease. Food can be delivered instantly. Entertainment is available endlessly. Many tasks that once required effort now require only a few taps on a screen. While convenience has its benefits, it also reduces the opportunities where discipline naturally develops. Because discipline grows through effort. It grows when we do things that are challenging. When we persist through difficulty. When we push beyond comfort. If life becomes too comfortable, those opportunities disappear. And when that happens, mental resilience begins to weaken. People become less tolerant of discomfort. Small obstacles begin to feel overwhelming. Effort begins to feel optional rather than necessary. This is why discipline is becoming increasingly rare. Not because people lack intelligence or ambition, but because the environment surrounding them constantly encourages distraction and comfort. However, recognizing this problem reveals an important opportunity. Because when most people are trapped in cycles of distraction, those who develop discipline gain a powerful advantage. Imagine two individuals living in the same environment. Both face the same distractions. Both have access to the same technology. But one person learns to control their attention. They limit distractions. They build focused routines. They train themselves to follow through on difficult tasks. While others drift from one distraction to another, this individual moves steadily forward. Over time, the difference becomes dramatic. Focus leads to productivity. Productivity leads to progress. And progress builds confidence and momentum. This is why discipline has become one of the most valuable skills of the modern age. It is no longer just a personal virtue. It is a competitive advantage. A disciplined person can achieve more in a distracted world simply by maintaining focus when others cannot. The good news is that discipline can be rebuilt, even in an environment filled with distractions. But rebuilding discipline requires awareness. It requires recognizing the forces that weaken focus. It requires creating systems that protect attention. And most importantly, it requires a willingness to challenge comfort and choose effort instead. This audiobook will guide you through that process step by step. But first, we must explore something deeper. Because discipline is not only about resisting distractions. It is also about understanding how the mind works. Why do some people seem to have stronger self-control than others? What happens inside the brain when we struggle with temptation? And how can we train the mind to become more resilient? These questions lead us into the next chapter. Chapter Transition. You've just completed Chapter 1, The Discipline Crisis. In the next chapter, we will explore the science behind self-control. We will examine how the brain forms habits, manages impulses, and develops willpower. Understanding these psychological mechanisms will reveal why discipline sometimes feels difficult, and how it can be strengthened. Let's continue to Chapter 2, The Psychology of Self-Control. Chapter 2, The Business Model of Distraction. In the previous chapter, we explored how attention gradually became one of the most valuable resources in the digital world. But an important question remains. If attention is so valuable, how exactly do companies profit from it? To understand the modern digital economy, we need to look at the business model behind distraction. At first glance, many digital platforms appear to offer incredible value for free. You can search the internet without paying. You can watch videos without a subscription. You can communicate with people across the world instantly. You can scroll through endless content without ever seeing a bill. But businesses cannot survive without revenue. So if users are not paying with money, how do these platforms make billions of dollars? The answer is simple. They monetize attention. Most digital platforms rely heavily on advertising revenue. Advertisers pay companies to display their products, services, or messages to users. But advertisers are not simply paying for space on a screen. They are paying for access to attention. Every advertisement depends on one critical condition. Someone must see it. And ideally, someone must stay engaged long enough for the message to have an impact. This is why engagement has become the central metric in the digital world. Platforms measure success using metrics like time spent on the platform, number of clicks, number of views, interaction rates, shares and comments, returning users. These metrics reveal how effectively a platform captures attention. The longer users remain engaged, the more opportunities the platform has to display advertisements. And the more advertisements that are seen, the more revenue is generated. This creates a powerful incentive structure. Platforms are rewarded not simply for providing useful information. They are rewarded for keeping users engaged for as long as possible. This incentive shapes nearly every design decision inside modern digital products. Features are not just created for convenience. They are created to increase engagement. For example, consider something as simple as a content feed. In early websites, content was often organized into pages. When a user reached the bottom of a page, they had to click to load the next one. This created a natural stopping point. But modern platforms replaced this system with something different. Infinite scrolling. Instead of reaching the end of a page, new content loads automatically as you scroll. This removes the natural decision point where a user might stop. The brain continues moving downward, consuming more content without interruption. Another powerful engagement tool is autoplay. Streaming platforms often begin playing the next video automatically when one ends. Without autoplay, viewers would have to consciously decide whether to continue watching. But with autoplay, the next video begins before that decision occurs. The result is longer viewing sessions. Notifications are another key part of the engagement system. When you receive a notification, your brain interprets it as a signal that something requires attention. It might be a message, a comment, a like, or a recommendation. The notification creates a small sense of urgency. Even if the content itself is not important, the alert captures curiosity. This curiosity draws the user back to the platform. Once the user returns, the platform can display additional content and advertisements. But the most powerful tools in the business model of distraction are algorithms. Algorithms analyze enormous amounts of user data. They observe behavior patterns such as what you click, what you watch, how long you stay, which topics interest you, which content you skip. Using this information, algorithms begin to predict what type of content will keep you engaged. Over time, the recommendations become increasingly personalized. You are shown videos, articles, posts, and images that match your preferences closely. This creates the feeling that the platform understands you. But the real goal is not simply to match your interests. The goal is to maximize time spent on the platform. If an algorithm can keep you engaged for 5 extra minutes per day, the revenue potential increases dramatically. Multiply that time by millions, or even billions, of users, and the economic value becomes enormous. Because of this, digital platforms constantly experiment with new strategies to increase engagement. They test different layouts, different colors, different notification sounds, different recommendation patterns. Even small improvements in engagement can generate millions of additional dollars. This system creates an environment where distraction becomes extremely profitable. Content that triggers strong emotions, such as excitement, curiosity, or outrage, often generates more engagement. Sensational headlines attract more clicks. Short, stimulating content spreads quickly. Highly emotional posts are shared widely. As a result, the digital ecosystem often amplifies the types of content that keep people reacting. This does not necessarily mean the content is informative or meaningful. It simply means it is engaging. When engagement becomes the dominant metric, depth can sometimes be replaced by stimulation. Complex ideas may be shortened. Nuanced discussions may be simplified. Content may become faster, louder, and more emotionally intense. This pattern reinforces the cycle of distraction. The brain begins expecting rapid stimulation. Long periods of quiet focus begin to feel uncomfortable. But the business model of distraction does not only affect entertainment. It influences news, communication, and even education. Many information platforms compete using the same engagement-based strategies. Headlines are optimized for clicks. Stories are structured to capture attention quickly. Notifications alert users about breaking updates. While these tools can help distribute information efficiently, they also contribute to a constant stream of stimuli. Over time, users may feel overwhelmed by the volume of information competing for their focus. Yet from a business perspective, the system is working exactly as designed. Engagement increases. Advertising impressions increase. Revenue increases. This is why many technology companies invest enormous resources into behavioral research. They study how users interact with digital environments. They measure how different features affect attention. They refine their systems continuously. But while the business model of distraction is extremely effective economically, it raises an important question. What happens to human attention when it is constantly pulled in different directions? When the brain is exposed to continuous streams of notifications, videos, updates, and messages, its natural attention patterns begin to change. Focus becomes shorter. Interruptions become more frequent. Deep concentration becomes harder to sustain. This is not because people lack discipline. It is because the environment around them has been engineered to capture attention repeatedly. Understanding this system is essential. Because once you recognize the incentives behind digital platforms, you begin to see technology differently. You begin to notice how certain features are designed to encourage continued interaction. You begin to recognize how recommendations guide behavior. You begin to understand that every moment of attention has value. This awareness does not mean abandoning digital tools, but it allows you to use them more consciously. Instead of reacting automatically to every notification, you can begin deciding where your attention truly belongs. And that decision is powerful. Because attention is the starting point of every meaningful activity: learning, creating, thinking, connecting. If attention is constantly redirected, those activities become more difficult. But if attention is directed intentionally, something remarkable happens. The mind becomes capable of deeper focus, clearer thought, and more meaningful engagement with the world. In the next chapter, we will explore why the human brain is especially vulnerable to these digital systems. Because the attention economy does not only depend on technology. It depends on human psychology. Understanding how the brain responds to novelty, rewards, and social signals will reveal why digital platforms are so effective at capturing attention. Chapter 2 Summary. In this chapter, we explored the business model of distraction. Most digital platforms generate revenue primarily through advertising, which depends on capturing and maintaining user attention. To maximize engagement, platforms design features such as infinite scrolling, autoplay videos, notifications, and personalized recommendations. Algorithms analyze user behavior to predict which content will keep individuals engaged the longest. This engagement-driven model rewards content that stimulates strong reactions and encourages continued interaction. As a result, digital platforms are structured to compete aggressively for attention. While this model is economically successful, it also contributes to increasing levels of distraction and fragmented focus. Understanding these incentives helps explain why modern digital environments are so effective at capturing attention. Narrator transition. You've just completed Chapter 2, The Business Model of Distraction. Now we move deeper into the science behind attention itself. Why is the human brain so easily captured by notifications, recommendations, and endless content? In Chapter 3, The Psychology of Attention, we will explore the cognitive mechanisms that make the attention economy so powerful. Chapter 3, The Psychology of Attention. In the previous chapter, we explored the business model of distraction, the economic system that rewards digital platforms for keeping users engaged for as long as possible. But an even more important question remains. Why does this system work so well? Why are notifications, videos, messages, and endless content feeds so difficult to ignore? The answer lies in the psychology of human attention. To understand the power of the attention economy, we must first understand how the brain naturally directs focus. Attention is not unlimited. The human brain can process an enormous amount of information, but it cannot focus on everything at the same time. At any given moment, the brain must decide what deserves priority. What deserves attention? And what should be ignored? This process is guided by ancient neurological systems that evolved long before smartphones and social media existed. For most of human history, attention was essential for survival. Early humans needed to notice important signals in their environment. A sudden sound in the forest. Movement in the distance. Changes in weather. Facial expressions of other people. Attention allows the brain to quickly identify potential threats and opportunities. Because of this evolutionary pressure, the brain developed several natural tendencies that influence what captures focus. These tendencies still guide attention today. But in the modern digital environment, they are often exploited. One of the most powerful drivers of attention is novelty. The brain is naturally drawn toward new information. When something unfamiliar appears in the environment, the brain automatically investigates. This instinct was useful for survival. A new sound or movement could signal danger or opportunity. But digital platforms constantly present novelty. Every refresh reveals new content. Every scroll reveals new images. Every notification represents new information. Because the brain is wired to respond to novelty, it becomes difficult to ignore these signals. The mind wants to know what is new. Another powerful driver of attention is uncertainty. Humans are extremely sensitive to unpredictable rewards. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as variable reinforcement. This is the same principle used in gambling systems. When rewards appear unpredictably, the brain becomes highly motivated to keep searching. In a slot machine, the player pulls the lever repeatedly because the next spin might produce a reward. Digital platforms use similar patterns. Sometimes a notification leads to something interesting. Sometimes it leads to something trivial. But because the outcome is uncertain, the brain continues checking. You open a message to see what someone said. You refresh a feed to see what appears next. You watch another video to see what the next recommendation offers. Each action carries the possibility of a small reward, information, entertainment, social interaction. This unpredictable reward pattern keeps attention engaged. Another powerful psychological driver is social validation. Humans are deeply social creatures. For thousands of years, survival depended on belonging to a group. Being accepted by others increased safety and cooperation. Being rejected could threaten survival. Because of this history, the brain is extremely sensitive to social signals. Approval, recognition, and feedback all trigger emotional responses. Digital platforms amplify these signals. Likes, comments, shares, mentions, follower counts. These small indicators create a continuous stream of social feedback. Every time someone interacts with your content, the brain interprets it as social recognition. This can release dopamine, a chemical associated with motivation and reward. Dopamine does not simply create pleasure. It creates anticipation. It motivates the brain to repeat behaviors that might produce rewards again. This is why people often check their phones repeatedly. Not because something important has already happened, but because something might happen. Another psychological mechanism that captures attention is interruption. When attention is interrupted suddenly, the brain experiences a phenomenon known as the orienting response. This response causes attention to shift toward the new stimulus. For example, imagine you are reading quietly. Suddenly your phone vibrates. Even if you try to ignore it, part of your attention shifts automatically toward the notification. This happens because the brain evolved to treat sudden signals as potentially important. Digital notifications use this mechanism constantly. A vibration, a sound, a visual alert. Each signal triggers the brain's attention system. Even if the message is trivial, the interruption breaks concentration. Over time, repeated interruptions train the brain to expect constant stimulation. The mind becomes accustomed to checking frequently. Periods of quiet focus may begin to feel unusual or uncomfortable. But attention is also influenced by cognitive load. When the brain processes too many stimuli simultaneously, it becomes overwhelmed. In response, attention shifts rapidly between different sources of information. This creates the feeling of multitasking. But in reality, the brain is not performing multiple tasks simultaneously. It is switching between them quickly. Each switch requires mental effort. And each switch reduces the brain's ability to process information deeply. This is why multitasking often reduces productivity and increases mental fatigue. Digital environments encourage this switching behavior constantly. A person may check messages while watching a video, browse headlines while responding to notifications, scroll through content while thinking about something else. The brain becomes accustomed to operating in a state of continuous partial attention. In this state, attention is never fully focused on a single task. Instead, it remains spread across multiple stimuli. While this may feel productive, it actually reduces the brain's ability to think deeply. Another important psychological factor is habit formation. When a behavior is repeated frequently, the brain begins automating it. Habits form through repeated cycles of cue, action, and reward. For example, cue, a phone vibration. Action, checking the notification. Reward, new information or social interaction. When this loop repeats many times, the behavior becomes automatic. You may reach for your phone without consciously deciding to do so. Over time, digital behaviors can become deeply ingrained habits. These habits make attention even more vulnerable to capture, because the behavior occurs automatically, not intentionally. But the psychology of attention also reveals something encouraging. The brain is adaptable. Just as habits of distraction can form, habits of focus can also develop. If the brain repeatedly practices sustained concentration, it becomes better at maintaining attention. If interruptions are reduced, the mind becomes calmer. If digital stimulation is limited, the brain gradually regains its ability to focus deeply. Understanding the psychological mechanisms behind attention does not mean the brain is powerless. It means awareness is possible. Once you recognize the triggers that capture attention, novelty, uncertainty, social validation, interruption, you can begin to respond differently. You can notice when attention is being pulled away. You can pause before reacting automatically. You can decide whether a stimulus truly deserves your focus. Because ultimately, attention determines what enters your awareness. And awareness shapes your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your life. In the next chapter, we will examine one of the most powerful tools used in the attention economy. A feature so common that many people barely notice it. Yet it interrupts attention dozens, sometimes hundreds, of times each day. Notifications. These small signals may seem harmless, but they play a central role in the system designed to capture attention. Chapter 3 Summary. In this chapter, we explored the psychology of attention. The human brain is naturally drawn to novelty, unpredictable rewards, and social validation. These evolutionary mechanisms once helped humans survive, but they also make modern digital systems extremely effective at capturing focus. Notifications trigger the brain's orienting response, causing attention to shift automatically. Unpredictable rewards encourage repeated checking behavior, while social feedback creates strong emotional reinforcement. Constant interruptions and multitasking increase cognitive load, making sustained focus more difficult. Repeated interactions with digital platforms can form habits that capture attention automatically. However, because the brain is adaptable, it is possible to rebuild stronger focus by understanding and managing these psychological triggers. You've just completed Chapter 3, The Psychology of Attention. Now that we understand why the brain is naturally drawn to digital stimuli, the next chapter focuses on one of the most powerful tools used to capture attention. In Chapter 4, The Notification Trap, we will explore how alerts, vibrations, and digital signals train the brain to expect constant interruption. Chapter 4, The Identity Shift. Why discipline begins with changing who you believe you are. In the previous chapter, we uncovered one of the hidden enemies of discipline, comfort addiction. We explored how constant convenience and instant gratification train the brain to avoid effort, making it harder to stay consistent with meaningful goals. But even when people understand these challenges, many still struggle to change their behavior. They set goals. They promise themselves they will be more disciplined. They try to work harder. Yet after a few days or weeks, they fall back into old patterns. Why does this happen? The answer lies deeper than habits or motivation. It lies in identity. Identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are. It shapes the way you think, the choices you make, and the behaviors you repeat every day. If someone believes they are not a disciplined person, that belief quietly influences their actions. When a difficult task appears, the mind may whisper, "This isn't who I am. This is too hard for me. I'm just not consistent." Even if the person wants to change, the brain resists behaviors that conflict with its identity. Because the human mind seeks consistency. It wants our actions to match our beliefs. So if your identity says you are unfocused, undisciplined, or easily distracted, your behavior will tend to follow that pattern. This is why discipline cannot be built on behavior alone. It must also be built on identity transformation. Disciplined individuals do not simply force themselves to act differently. They begin to see themselves differently. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to become disciplined," they think, "I am a disciplined person." This may sound like a small shift, but psychologically it is extremely powerful. When discipline becomes part of your identity, your decisions begin to align with that identity. Imagine two people waking up early in the morning. One person thinks, "I hate waking up early, but I guess I should try." The other thinks, "I am someone who keeps commitments to myself." Both people may set the same alarm, but their internal dialogue is completely different. The second person's identity supports the behavior. And when identity supports behavior, discipline becomes easier to maintain. This principle explains why lasting change often requires internal transformation, not just external goals. Many people attempt discipline through sheer willpower. They push themselves for a few days. They rely on bursts of motivation. But motivation fades quickly. And when motivation disappears, behavior collapses. Identity-based discipline works differently. Instead of relying on temporary motivation, it creates a stable internal framework. You begin to act in ways that confirm the person you believe yourself to be. Psychologists sometimes describe this as self-consistency theory. The brain prefers behaviors that match its self-image. So if your self-image changes, your behavior gradually follows. But how does someone change their identity? Not through affirmations alone. And not through wishful thinking. Identity changes through evidence. Each time you perform a disciplined action, you create proof that supports a new identity. When you complete a workout, you reinforce the identity of someone who values physical strength. When you study consistently, you reinforce the identity of someone committed to growth. When you finish tasks even when they are difficult, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined individual. These small actions accumulate over time. And slowly, the brain updates its internal story. At first, you may feel like you are pretending. You may think, "I'm not really this kind of person." But with repetition, the evidence becomes undeniable. Your behavior begins to match your new identity. And the mind accepts the change. This process is extremely important for long-term discipline. Because discipline without identity feels forced. But discipline with identity feels natural. You no longer struggle with every decision. You simply act in accordance with the person you believe you are. For example, consider someone who identifies as an athlete. Even on days when they feel tired, they still train. Not because they are constantly motivated, but because training aligns with their identity. The same principle applies to discipline in work, study, creativity, and personal growth. When discipline becomes part of your identity, consistency becomes easier. This is the true beginning of the discipline code. You stop trying to temporarily change your behavior. And you begin permanently redefining yourself. However, identity transformation requires patience. It cannot happen instantly. Your current identity was shaped by years of experiences, habits, and beliefs. Changing it requires repeated proof in the opposite direction. This means starting small. Small actions repeated consistently send powerful signals to the brain. Each action says, "This is who I am becoming." Over time, those signals reshape the mind. And once identity shifts, something remarkable happens. Discipline begins to feel less like effort. And more like alignment. You no longer feel like you are fighting yourself. Instead, you feel like you are becoming the person you were meant to be. But identity alone is not enough. Because even disciplined individuals sometimes struggle with consistency. They experience days when motivation disappears. They encounter moments when procrastination feels overwhelming. To truly master discipline, you must understand the mechanics of procrastination itself. Because procrastination is not laziness. It is a psychological process. And once you understand how it works, you can begin to break its grip. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the identity shift, one of the most powerful components of the discipline code. Key ideas include: discipline is strongly influenced by identity, the beliefs you hold about who you are. People naturally behave in ways that align with their self-image. Long-term discipline comes from redefining your identity, not just forcing new behaviors. Small consistent actions provide evidence that gradually reshapes the mind. When discipline becomes part of your identity, consistency becomes far easier to maintain. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 4, The Identity Shift. In the next chapter, we will examine one of the most common obstacles to discipline: procrastination. You will discover why the brain delays important work, and more importantly, how disciplined individuals overcome this powerful mental trap. Let's continue to Chapter 5, The Procrastination Loop. Chapter 5, The Habit Architecture. How daily systems create unstoppable discipline. In the previous chapter, we explored the identity shift. We learned that discipline becomes stronger when it is connected to the way you see yourself. When your identity supports disciplined behavior, consistency becomes far easier. But identity alone is not enough. Even people who see themselves as disciplined still rely on something deeper to maintain consistency over long periods of time. That deeper structure is habit architecture. Habit architecture is the system of daily behaviors that shape your life automatically. It is the invisible framework that determines how you spend your time, your energy, and your attention. Most people think discipline is about making strong decisions every day. But that belief is misleading. The human brain is not designed to make hundreds of difficult decisions daily. In fact, research shows that the brain prefers automation. Whenever possible, it converts repeated behaviors into habits so that they require less mental effort. Habits are the brain's way of conserving energy. Once a behavior becomes habitual, it moves from conscious effort to automatic action. This is why habit architecture is so powerful. Because when discipline becomes habitual, it no longer feels like discipline. It becomes routine. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not debate whether you should brush your teeth every morning. You simply do it. The action requires almost no mental effort. It has become part of your daily system. Now imagine if other productive behaviors operated the same way. Studying for an hour each day. Writing consistently. Reading regularly. Training your body. Developing professional skills. If these behaviors were built into your daily system, discipline would not require constant motivation. It would simply happen. This is the true power of habit architecture. But to understand how habits form, we must examine the structure behind them. Psychologists often describe habits using a three-part loop. Cue. Routine. Reward. The cue is the trigger that begins the behavior. The routine is the action itself. The reward is the positive feeling that reinforces the habit. Over time, this loop becomes deeply embedded in the brain. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine someone who checks their phone immediately after waking up. The cue is waking up. The routine is opening the phone and scrolling through notifications. The reward is the small burst of stimulation and novelty. Repeat this loop every morning, and eventually the behavior becomes automatic. The brain expects the reward as soon as the cue appears. This is why habits can be both powerful and dangerous. Negative habits form just as easily as productive ones. Scrolling through social media. Procrastinating before starting work. Checking notifications every few minutes. These behaviors follow the same loop. Cue. Routine. Reward. But the discipline code teaches us to redesign this loop intentionally. Instead of allowing habits to form randomly, disciplined individuals design their habit architecture deliberately. They create systems that make productive behavior easier and distractions harder. For example, someone who wants to build a reading habit might place a book beside their bed. Now the cue, going to bed, naturally triggers the routine of reading. Or someone who wants to exercise consistently might prepare their workout clothes the night before. When the morning arrives, the cue is already in place. The decision becomes easier. These small adjustments may seem simple, but they are extremely powerful. Because the brain responds strongly to environmental signals. When the environment supports a habit, the brain follows the path of least resistance. This is why disciplined people often structure their surroundings carefully. They remove distractions. They reduce friction for productive behaviors. And they make good habits easier to begin. This principle is known as environmental design. Instead of relying purely on willpower, disciplined individuals create environments that support their goals. For example, if your phone constantly distracts you, place it in another room while working. If unhealthy food is easily accessible, replace it with healthier options. If you want to study more, create a dedicated workspace that signals focus. These environmental changes reduce the number of decisions the brain must make. And fewer decisions mean fewer opportunities for distraction. Another important element of habit architecture is consistency. Habits strengthen through repetition. The brain learns patterns through repeated exposure to the same behavior. If you perform a behavior at the same time each day, the brain begins to anticipate it. Eventually, the cue automatically triggers the routine. This is why many disciplined individuals follow structured routines. Morning routines. Work routines. Evening routines. These routines simplify decision-making. They reduce mental resistance. And they allow productive behavior to occur almost automatically. However, habit architecture requires patience. Habits do not form instantly. At the beginning, every new behavior feels difficult. The brain resists unfamiliar patterns. But with repetition, resistance gradually fades. The neural pathways strengthen. And the behavior becomes easier. Eventually, what once required effort begins to feel natural. This is how discipline becomes sustainable. Not through constant motivation, but through systems that support consistent action. Once habits are established, they create momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in productivity. Small actions repeated daily accumulate into massive results over time. A few pages of reading each day become dozens of books each year. A short daily workout becomes long-term physical strength. A consistent focus on learning becomes expertise. The discipline code relies heavily on this principle. Because the most successful individuals rarely rely on sudden bursts of motivation. They rely on systems that make progress inevitable. But there is still another obstacle that can disrupt even the best systems. An obstacle that silently destroys focus and consistency. This obstacle is distraction. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Notifications, messages, social media, digital entertainment. Each one competes for your attention. And attention is one of your most valuable resources. In the next chapter, we will explore how to protect this resource. Because discipline cannot survive in an environment of constant distraction. You must learn how to guard your attention if you want to maintain focus. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored habit architecture, the system that supports long-term discipline. Key ideas include: discipline becomes sustainable when behaviors become habits. Habits follow a loop of cue, routine, and reward. The environment plays a powerful role in shaping habits. Disciplined individuals design systems that make productive behavior easier. Consistency and repetition gradually transform effort into automatic action. You have just completed Chapter 5, The Habit Architecture. In the next chapter, we will examine one of the most powerful threats to discipline in the modern world: distraction. You will learn why attention is constantly under attack, and how protecting your focus is essential for long-term success. Let's continue to Chapter 6, The War for Your Attention. Chapter 6, The Focus Engine. Training the mind to eliminate distractions and build deep concentration. In the previous chapter, we explored the habit architecture. We learned that discipline becomes sustainable when productive behaviors are built into daily systems. Habits automate progress and reduce the need for constant willpower. But even the strongest habits can be disrupted by one powerful force: distraction. Distraction is one of the greatest enemies of discipline in the modern world. Every day, your attention is pulled in dozens of directions. Notifications appear on your phone. Messages arrive from multiple platforms. Videos, news feeds, and social media constantly compete for your focus. Each of these interruptions may seem small, but together, they fragment your attention and weaken your ability to concentrate. This is why discipline in the modern age requires more than good habits. It requires a system for protecting and directing attention. This system can be called the focus engine. The focus engine is the mental and environmental structure that allows you to concentrate deeply on a single task for extended periods of time. It is the ability to direct your attention intentionally rather than allowing it to be controlled by external stimuli. People who build strong focus engines develop a powerful advantage. They can work longer on meaningful tasks. They can think more clearly. They can produce higher quality results. And they can move closer to their goals faster than those constantly interrupted by distractions. But to understand how to build focus, we must first understand why distraction is so powerful. The brain is naturally attracted to novelty. New information triggers curiosity. Unexpected signals capture attention. This was useful for survival in earlier stages of human evolution. Noticing sudden changes in the environment could protect us from danger. But in the digital age, this same mechanism is constantly exploited. Apps, platforms, and media channels are designed to capture attention through novelty. New notifications. Breaking news. Endless streams of new content. Each one pulls the brain towards something different. This constant shifting of attention creates a state known as attention fragmentation. Instead of focusing deeply on one task, the mind jumps rapidly between many tasks. When attention is fragmented, productivity declines sharply. Even worse, the brain becomes accustomed to shallow thinking. It struggles to remain focused on complex work. Over time, this weakens one of the most valuable cognitive abilities, deep concentration. Deep concentration is the ability to immerse yourself fully in a task. When you reach this state, distractions fade into the background. Your mind becomes absorbed in the work. Time seems to move differently. And your mental energy becomes highly efficient. This state is sometimes called deep work or flow. It is the state where the most valuable and creative work occurs. Scientists, writers, engineers, researchers, and entrepreneurs often rely on deep concentration to produce meaningful breakthroughs. But deep concentration rarely happens by accident. It must be trained and protected. This is where the focus engine begins. The first component of the focus engine is intentional focus sessions. Instead of trying to focus throughout the entire day, disciplined individuals create specific blocks of time dedicated to uninterrupted work. During these sessions, distractions are removed. Phones are silenced. Notifications are disabled. External interruptions are minimized. The brain is given a clear signal: this is time for focus. At first, maintaining deep concentration may feel difficult. The brain may resist. It may search for distractions out of habit. But with practice, the mind gradually adapts. Focus becomes easier. The second component of the focus engine is attention training. Attention works like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Activities such as reading, studying, writing, or solving complex problems strengthen the brain's ability to maintain concentration. Each time you resist a distraction and return to the task at hand, you reinforce your focus. Over time, this training produces noticeable changes. Your mind becomes calmer. Your thinking becomes clearer. And your ability to sustain attention improves dramatically. The third component of the focus engine is environmental control. Your surroundings strongly influence your attention. If your environment contains constant interruptions, your focus will suffer. Disciplined individuals therefore design environments that support concentration. A clean workspace. Minimal visual clutter. Limited access to distracting devices. These adjustments reduce the number of signals competing for your attention. And when distractions are reduced, focus becomes more natural. Another powerful tool in the focus engine is task clarity. The brain struggles to focus when tasks are vague or overwhelming. If a project feels too large or undefined, the mind may delay starting. But when tasks are clearly defined, focus becomes easier. Instead of saying, "I need to work on this project," a disciplined person might say, "For the next 45 minutes, I will write the first section of this report." Clear goals reduce hesitation. They give the brain a specific target. And specific targets make concentration easier. As you continue strengthening the focus engine, something important begins to happen. Distractions lose their power. Your attention becomes more stable. Your work becomes more meaningful. And you begin to experience a sense of control over your own mind. This is one of the greatest rewards of discipline. Because in a world filled with noise and distraction, the ability to focus deeply is extremely rare. And rare abilities often lead to extraordinary results. But even with strong focus and well-designed habits, there is another essential ingredient required for long-term discipline. That ingredient is resilience. Because discipline is not only tested during easy days. It is tested during moments of fatigue, failure, and uncertainty. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals develop the resilience required to continue moving forward even when motivation fades. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the focus engine, the system that protects and strengthens concentration. Key ideas include: modern environments are filled with distractions that fragment attention. Deep concentration allows individuals to produce their most valuable work. Focus can be strengthened through intentional focus sessions and attention training. Environmental design helps eliminate unnecessary distractions. Clear and specific tasks make it easier for the brain to maintain concentration. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 6, the focus engine. In the next chapter, we will examine one of the most important traits behind lasting discipline: resilience. You will learn how disciplined individuals continue moving forward even when progress feels slow and motivation disappears. Let's continue to Chapter 7, the resilience factor. Chapter 7, the discipline loop. How effort, progress, and reward reinforce powerful habits. In the previous chapter, we explored the focus engine. We learned how eliminating distractions and protecting attention allows the mind to enter deep concentration. This level of focus is essential for meaningful progress. But focus alone does not guarantee long-term discipline. There must also be a self-reinforcing system that keeps discipline alive over time. A system that strengthens itself the more it is used. This system is known as the discipline loop. The discipline loop is a powerful cycle made up of three key elements: effort, progress, reward. When these three elements work together, discipline becomes stronger with every repetition. Let's explore how this cycle works. The first element is effort. Effort is the willingness to act even when motivation is low. It is the decision to begin a task despite resistance. Effort is often the hardest part of discipline because the brain naturally prefers comfort and efficiency. When a task feels difficult, the mind searches for easier alternatives. This is why many people delay starting important work. But disciplined individuals understand something crucial. Action creates momentum. The moment you begin a task, resistance begins to fade. The brain transitions from avoidance into engagement. What felt overwhelming before starting often becomes manageable once effort begins. This is why the discipline code emphasizes starting small but starting consistently. Even a small amount of effort activates the discipline loop. Once effort is applied, the second element begins to appear: progress. Progress is the visible or measurable movement toward a goal. It may be small at first. A single page written. A short workout completed. A problem solved. But progress sends a powerful signal to the brain. It proves that effort produces results. This is one of the most motivating psychological experiences humans can have. When the brain sees progress, it releases dopamine, the same chemical associated with motivation and reward. But unlike the artificial dopamine spikes created by instant gratification, this dopamine is connected to achievement. It reinforces the behavior that produced the progress. In simple terms, the brain learns. Effort leads to results. And when the brain believes effort leads to results, it becomes more willing to repeat the behavior. This brings us to the third element of the discipline loop: reward. Reward does not always mean celebration or external recognition. Often, the most powerful reward is the internal satisfaction that comes from completing meaningful work. The feeling of accomplishment. The sense of control. The knowledge that you moved forward instead of standing still. These internal rewards strengthen discipline because they reinforce the identity of someone who takes action. The mind begins to associate effort with positive outcomes. Effort leads to progress. Progress creates reward. Reward encourages more effort. And the loop begins again. This cycle may appear simple, but it is extremely powerful when repeated consistently. Each time the loop completes, discipline becomes stronger. Each repetition strengthens neural pathways associated with effort and persistence. Over time, these pathways become automatic. And when discipline becomes automatic, consistency becomes easier. However, the discipline loop can also be disrupted. One of the most common disruptions is impatience. Many people abandon discipline because they expect rapid results. When progress appears slow, they lose motivation. But discipline operates on a different timeline. The most powerful results come from accumulation. Small efforts repeated daily create massive outcomes over time. Reading a few pages each day may seem insignificant at the moment. But over a year, it became dozens of books. Practicing a skill for 1 hour a day may feel modest. But over years, it produces expertise. The discipline loop works through gradual reinforcement. Each small success strengthens the system. Another disruption to the discipline loop is inconsistent effort. If effort occurs only occasionally, the loop never gains momentum. The brain struggles to form strong associations between effort and reward. But when effort occurs regularly, the brain recognizes the pattern. And once the pattern is established, discipline becomes easier to maintain. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. Short, consistent efforts often produce better long-term results than occasional bursts of extreme effort. The discipline code emphasizes daily engagement with your goals. Even small actions keep the discipline loop active. They prevent momentum from disappearing. And they maintain the brain's belief that progress is always possible. Eventually, something remarkable happens. Discipline stops feeling like resistance. Instead, it begins to feel like progress. The brain begins to seek the satisfaction that comes from completing meaningful work. And when that happens, discipline becomes self-sustaining. But there is still another skill required to maintain discipline over long periods. A skill that determines how people respond when they encounter setbacks. Because setbacks are inevitable. Progress is rarely a straight line. Failure, mistakes, and unexpected challenges will appear along the way. What matters most is how you respond to them. In the next chapter, we will explore the mental strength required to recover from setbacks and continue moving forward. Because discipline is not only about consistency. It is also about resilience in the face of difficulty. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the discipline loop, the cycle that reinforces consistent behavior. Key ideas include: the discipline loop consists of effort, progress, and reward. Starting small actions helps overcome resistance and activate momentum. Visible progress motivates the brain by reinforcing effort. Internal rewards strengthen the desire to repeat disciplined behaviors. Consistency and patience allow the loop to grow stronger over time. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 7, the discipline loop. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals handle one of life's greatest challenges: failure and setbacks. You will learn how resilience allows disciplined individuals to recover quickly and continue progressing toward their goals. Let's continue to Chapter 8, the Resilience Protocol. Chapter 8, the Power of Delayed Gratification. Why patience multiplies success. In the previous chapter, we explored the discipline loop. We learned how effort, progress, and reward reinforce disciplined behavior over time. Each completed action strengthens the brain's belief that effort leads to meaningful results. But there is another principle that determines whether discipline truly produces long-term success. That principle is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the ability to resist immediate rewards in order to achieve larger rewards in the future. It is the decision to prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. This ability may seem simple, but it is one of the most powerful predictors of success in many areas of life. Education, career development, financial stability, health and fitness, personal mastery. In each of these areas, success rarely arrives instantly. It requires sustained effort over time. And sustained effort often means sacrificing immediate pleasures for future benefits. This is where delayed gratification becomes essential. But to understand why it is so difficult, we must first examine how the brain processes reward. The human brain is naturally drawn toward immediate rewards. When something provides instant pleasure or relief, the brain releases dopamine. Dopamine reinforces the behavior that produced the reward. This system helped early humans survive. Immediate rewards often meant food, safety, or comfort. But in the modern world, this reward system can work against us. Many modern pleasures deliver fast dopamine with very little effort. Scrolling through social media, watching endless entertainment, eating highly processed foods, constantly checking notifications. These activities provide immediate stimulation, but they often provide little long-term value. Over time, the brain becomes accustomed to these quick rewards. And when the brain becomes used to instant gratification, patience becomes harder. Tasks that require long effort without immediate reward begin to feel uncomfortable. Studying, building a business, learning a skill, training the body. These activities may take weeks, months, or even years before producing visible results. And during that time, the brain may constantly search for easier rewards. This is why many people abandon their long-term goals. Not because they lack ability, but because the rewards feel too distant. Disciplined individuals understand this challenge. And they deliberately train themselves to value future rewards more than immediate comfort. One of the most famous demonstrations of delayed gratification comes from a psychological experiment known as the marshmallow test. In this study, young children were given a simple choice. They could eat one marshmallow immediately, or they could wait for a short period of time and receive 2 marshmallows later. Some children chose the immediate reward. Others chose to wait. Years later, researchers followed the participants and discovered something remarkable. The children who had been able to delay gratification often showed stronger academic performance, better self-control, and greater long-term success. While the study does not determine destiny, it highlights an important principle. The ability to delay gratification is closely connected to self-control and discipline. But the good news is that delayed gratification is not a fixed trait. It can be trained and strengthened. Just like a muscle, patience grows stronger with practice. Every time you choose long-term growth over short-term comfort, you reinforce this ability. Every time you continue working toward a goal even when results are not immediate, you strengthen your discipline. One effective way to build delayed gratification is by developing long-term vision. When people clearly imagine the future they want, short-term sacrifices become easier to accept. For example, a student who imagines their future career may feel more motivated to study. An athlete who visualizes peak performance may feel more willing to train daily. A creator who imagines the impact of their work may feel more willing to invest time in developing their craft. Vision gives meaning to patience. Another important strategy is breaking large goals into smaller milestones. When goals feel too distant, the brain struggles to stay motivated. But when progress is divided into smaller steps, each milestone provides a sense of accomplishment. These small achievements act as intermediate rewards. They keep the discipline loop active while you move toward the larger outcome. Disciplined individuals also practice reward control. Instead of eliminating all pleasures, they learn to delay them until meaningful work is completed. For example, finishing a focused work session before checking messages. Completing a workout before relaxing. Finishing an important task before watching entertainment. In this way, rewards become connected to productivity rather than replacing it. Over time, this reinforces a powerful habit. Effort first. Reward later. And when this pattern becomes natural, discipline becomes far easier to maintain. Delayed gratification also changes the way you view time. Instead of seeking constant stimulation in the present moment, you begin to think in longer time horizons. Weeks. Months. Years. You begin to see how small actions accumulate into powerful outcomes. And once you recognize the power of accumulation, patience becomes a strategic advantage. Because most people abandon their goals too early. They give up before the results begin to appear. But those who remain patient continue building momentum. And when momentum finally produces visible success, it often appears sudden to outside observers. In reality, it was the result of months or years of disciplined effort. This is why patience multiplies success. It allows disciplined individuals to stay in the game long enough for progress to compound. But patience alone is not enough. Because discipline must also survive moments of difficulty. Moments when energy is low. Moments when obstacles appear. Moments when failure occurs. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals develop the mental strength required to endure these challenges. Because long-term discipline requires more than patience. It requires resilience and persistence. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explore the power of delayed gratification. Key ideas include: delayed gratification is the ability to resist immediate rewards for greater future benefits. The brain naturally seeks instant pleasure, which can weaken discipline. Long-term success often requires patience and sustained effort. Clear goals and intermediate milestones help maintain motivation. Reward control strengthens the habit of prioritizing effort before pleasure. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 8, The Power of Delayed Gratification. In the next chapter, we will explore how discipline is maintained during the most challenging moments. Moments when motivation fades and obstacles appear. Let's continue to Chapter 9, The Mental Resilience System. Chapter 9, The Anti-Procrastination Protocol. How disciplined people defeat procrastination. In the previous chapter, we explored the power of delayed gratification. We learned that disciplined individuals learn to sacrifice immediate pleasure for greater rewards in the future. Patience becomes a strategic advantage because long-term success requires consistent effort over time. But even when people understand the value of patience, they still face one of the most common obstacles to discipline: procrastination. Procrastination is not simply laziness. It is a psychological response, a mental strategy the brain uses to avoid discomfort. When the brain encounters a task that feels difficult, uncertain, or overwhelming, it often looks for a way to escape that discomfort. And the easiest escape is delay. Instead of beginning the task, the mind looks for something easier or more enjoyable to do. Checking messages, scrolling through social media, watching videos, organizing small, unimportant tasks. These activities provide immediate relief from the discomfort of starting difficult work. But the relief is temporary. The task still remains unfinished. And over time, the pressure grows. This creates a cycle that many people experience repeatedly. A cycle known as the procrastination loop. The loop often follows this pattern. A task appears. The brain anticipates effort or difficulty. Discomfort arises. The mind seeks an easier activity. The task is delayed. Temporary relief is achieved. But eventually, stress and guilt return because the task still exists. The longer the delay continues, the more intimidating the task becomes. And the harder it feels to begin. This is why procrastination can become such a powerful habit. It is not about lack of intelligence or capability. It is about how the brain responds to discomfort. Disciplined individuals understand this psychological pattern. Instead of waiting for motivation, they use specific strategies to break the procrastination cycle. These strategies form what we can call the Anti-Procrastination protocol. The first principle of this protocol is simple but powerful. Start before you feel ready. Many people believe they must feel motivated before they begin. But motivation often appears after action, not before it. Once you begin working, the brain shifts from avoidance into engagement. Resistance decreases. Focus increases. And momentum begins to build. Even a small beginning can trigger this shift. Writing one sentence. Reading one paragraph. Working for 5 minutes. These small actions break the psychological barrier that procrastination creates. The second principle is task clarity. Procrastination thrives when tasks are vague. If a goal feels large or undefined, the brain struggles to decide where to begin. This uncertainty increases resistance. Disciplined individuals solve this problem by breaking tasks into clear, manageable steps. Instead of saying, "I need to finish this project," they define a specific action. "I will outline the first section." Or, "I will work on this for the next 30 minutes. Clear starting points reduce hesitation. They transform overwhelming tasks into achievable actions. The third principle of the anti-procrastination protocol is time boundaries. Many people delay tasks because they imagine working on them for long periods. The brain interprets this as a major energy demand. But when time is limited, the task feels easier to begin. Disciplined individuals often use focused time blocks. For example, committing to 25 minutes of work before taking a break. This method reduces psychological resistance because the effort feels temporary and manageable. Once the work begins, it often continues naturally. The fourth principle is environmental control. Procrastination is strengthened by environments filled with distractions. Phones, notifications, and entertainment platforms constantly offer easy alternatives to work. Disciplined individuals reduce these temptations. They silence notifications. They place distracting devices out of reach. They create workspaces associated with focus. By removing distractions, they make productive behavior the easiest option available. Another powerful strategy in defeating procrastination is identity reinforcement. Remember the identity shift we discussed earlier. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, your behavior begins to reflect that belief. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this task?" you begin asking, "What would a disciplined person do right now?" This question aligns your actions with your identity. And identity-based decisions are often stronger than emotional impulses. Disciplined individuals also understand the importance of momentum. Once progress begins, the brain becomes more willing to continue. This is why starting small tasks often leads to longer periods of productive work. Momentum transforms effort into engagement. And engagement reduces the temptation to procrastinate. However, one final principle is perhaps the most important. Forgiveness. Even disciplined people procrastinate occasionally. No one is perfectly consistent. The key difference is how they respond afterward. Instead of criticizing themselves harshly, disciplined individuals reset quickly. They return to the task. They re-enter the discipline loop. And they continue moving forward. Because discipline is not about perfection. It is about recovery and persistence. The faster you recover from distraction, the stronger your discipline becomes. By applying these strategies consistently, procrastination gradually loses its power. Tasks feel less intimidating. Starting becomes easier. And productivity increases. But defeating procrastination is only one step toward mastering discipline. Because discipline must eventually become something deeper than a daily struggle. It must become a lifestyle. A permanent way of thinking, acting, and making decisions. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals transform discipline into a long-term lifestyle that shapes every area of their lives. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the Anti-Procrastination Protocol. Key ideas include: procrastination is a psychological response to discomfort, not laziness. The procrastination loop delays tasks through temporary distractions. Starting small actions helps break the resistance barrier. Clear tasks and limited time blocks reduce mental overwhelm. Identity-based discipline strengthens consistent action. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 9, the Anti-Procrastination Protocol. In the next chapter, we will explore how discipline evolves beyond isolated habits. You will discover how disciplined individuals transform discipline into a powerful lifestyle system that shapes every decision they make. Let's continue to Chapter 10, the Discipline Lifestyle. Chapter 10, the Environment of Success. How your surroundings shape your behavior. In the previous chapter, we explored the Anti-Procrastination Protocol. We learned that procrastination is not simply laziness, but a psychological response to discomfort. Disciplined individuals overcome procrastination by starting small, creating clear tasks, and controlling distractions. But even with strong mental strategies, discipline can still fail if one powerful factor is ignored. That factor is your environment. Your surroundings silently influence nearly every behavior you perform. They shape your routines. They guide your decisions. And they often determine whether discipline becomes easy or difficult. Many people believe success depends purely on motivation or willpower. But in reality, the environment often has a stronger influence than motivation. This is because the brain constantly responds to signals in the surrounding environment. Every object, sound, and visual cue can trigger certain behaviors. For example, imagine a person trying to focus on an important project while their phone sits directly beside them. Even if they intend to concentrate, the presence of the phone creates temptation. Notifications appear. Curiosity arises. And attention begins to drift. But if that same phone were placed in another room, the temptation would be significantly reduced. The environment has changed. And behavior often follows the environment. Disciplined individuals understand this principle. They know that discipline becomes easier when the environment supports their goals. Instead of relying entirely on willpower, they design environments that guide productive behavior. This idea is sometimes called environmental architecture. It means intentionally shaping your surroundings so that success becomes the most natural option. One of the most powerful ways to build a productive environment is by reducing friction. Friction refers to the obstacles that make certain behaviors harder to perform. For example, if your goal is to read more books, but your books are stored in a place that is difficult to access, the friction increases. The brain chooses easier activities instead. But if a book is placed on your desk or beside your bed, the friction disappears. reading becomes the easiest option available. Disciplined individuals apply this principle in many areas of life. If they want to exercise regularly, they prepare their workout clothes in advance. If they want to study consistently, they maintain a dedicated study area. If they want to reduce digital distractions, they remove unnecessary apps or silence notifications. Each small environmental change strengthens disciplined behavior. Another important element of the environment of success is visual signals. The brain constantly interprets visual cues. These cues trigger habits and influence attention. For example, a cluttered workspace often leads to a cluttered mind. Too many objects compete for attention. Focus becomes fragmented. But a clean and organized workspace sends a different signal. It encourages clarity and concentration. Disciplined individuals often maintain environments that reflect their goals. A workspace designed for productivity. A reading space designed for learning. A quiet area designed for deep thinking. These environments act as behavioral triggers. When you enter them, your brain associates the space with a specific activity. Over time, this association becomes automatic. Another powerful environmental influence is the people around you. Human behavior is strongly affected by social environments. The attitudes, habits, and expectations of the people you interact with shape your own behavior. If you spend most of your time around individuals who are unfocused or unmotivated, their behavior can slowly influence yours. But if you surround yourself with people who value growth, discipline, and ambition, their mindset becomes contagious. This does not mean you must remove every negative influence from your life. But it does mean being aware of the environments you choose to spend time in. Because your surroundings constantly shape your expectations of what is normal. And what feels normal often becomes what you do repeatedly. Disciplined individuals also understand the importance of digital environments. In the modern world, digital spaces can influence behavior just as strongly as physical environments. Social media feeds, online content, constant notifications. These digital signals compete for attention and can easily disrupt focus. Disciplined individuals manage their digital environments intentionally. They follow content that supports learning and growth. They limit exposure to constant distraction. They protect their attention as if it were a valuable resource. Because in the modern world, attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Where you direct your attention determines what you learn, what you create, and how you grow. The environment of success therefore extends beyond physical spaces. It includes the information you consume and the ideas you allow into your mind. Over time, a powerful transformation begins to occur. When your environment supports discipline, effort requires less energy. Good decisions become easier. Productive habits become automatic. And discipline stops feeling like a constant struggle. Instead, it becomes part of the structure of your daily life. But even the most supportive environment cannot eliminate challenges completely. Because life inevitably introduces uncertainty. Unexpected obstacles appear. Plans change. Energy levels fluctuate. And during these moments, discipline must rely on something deeper. A deeper commitment to long-term purpose. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals maintain their direction even when circumstances change. Because discipline is not only about structure. It is also about adaptability and long-term vision. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the environment of success. Key ideas include: your environment strongly influences your daily behavior. Reducing friction makes productive habits easier to perform. Visual signals and organized spaces improve focus and clarity. Social environments shape attitudes toward discipline and success. Managing digital environments protects attention and concentration. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 10, The Environment of Success. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals maintain consistency even when life becomes unpredictable. You will learn how purpose and adaptability help discipline survive long-term challenges. Let's continue to Chapter 11, The Long-Term Discipline Mindset. Chapter 11, The Discipline Mindset. How resilient thinkers overcome failure and setbacks. In the previous chapter, we explored the environment of success. We learned how our surroundings, our workspace, our digital environment, and even the people around us, can either strengthen or weaken discipline. By designing supportive environments, disciplined individuals make productive behaviors easier to sustain. But even the best environment cannot prevent every obstacle. Life is unpredictable. Unexpected challenges appear. Plans fail. Mistakes happen. Motivation fades. And sometimes, despite our best efforts, we experience failure. At this point, many people abandon their goals. Not because they lack intelligence. Not because they lack potential. But because they interpret failure as a signal to stop. Disciplined individuals interpret failure differently. They view it as information. A signal that something needs adjustment, not abandonment. This difference in interpretation forms the foundation of what we can call the discipline mindset. The discipline mindset is the ability to remain committed to long-term goals even when progress becomes difficult. It is the ability to face setbacks without losing direction. And it is built on a powerful psychological principle. Resilience. Resilience is the mental capacity to recover quickly from difficulty. It allows individuals to endure temporary failures without losing confidence in their long-term path. But resilience does not mean ignoring failure. Instead, resilient thinkers examine failure carefully. They ask constructive questions. What went wrong? What can be improved? What lesson can be learned from this experience? These questions transform failure from an emotional event into a learning opportunity. Disciplined individuals understand that every meaningful goal involves a process of experimentation. No complex achievement occurs without mistakes along the way. Entrepreneurs experience failed ideas before discovering successful ones. Athletes lose competitions before mastering their sport. Creators produce imperfect work before developing mastery. Failure is not the opposite of success. In many cases, it is part of the process that produces success. The disciplined mindset therefore replaces fear of failure with curiosity. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" disciplined individuals ask, "What will I learn if I try?" This shift in perspective reduces hesitation. It encourages action. And action creates progress. Another key element of the disciplined mindset is emotional regulation. Setbacks often trigger powerful emotions. Frustration. Doubt. Disappointment. These emotions are natural. But resilient thinkers do not allow these emotions to control their decisions. Instead, they create space between the emotional reaction and the next action. They pause. They reflect. And then they continue forward with a clearer strategy. This ability to remain calm under pressure strengthens discipline dramatically. Because emotional reactions often lead to impulsive decisions. Quitting too soon. Abandoning long-term goals. Seeking short-term comfort. Resilient thinkers resist these impulses. They understand that temporary discomfort is often the price of meaningful progress. Another important aspect of the disciplined mindset is long-term perspective. When people focus only on short-term outcomes, failure can feel devastating. A single mistake appears overwhelming. But when viewed from a long-term perspective, individual setbacks lose their power. A failed project becomes one step in a much larger journey. A disappointing result becomes a temporary chapter rather than a final conclusion. Disciplined individuals therefore think in longer time frames. Months. Years. Even decades. They understand that meaningful achievements require patience and persistence. And when you view your life through a long-term lens, temporary difficulties become easier to endure. The disciplined mindset also emphasizes self-trust. Self-trust is the belief that you can rely on yourself to continue moving forward. It grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment. Every time you recover after a setback and continue working. This self-trust becomes one of the most powerful psychological assets a person can possess. Because when you trust your ability to persist, fear of failure loses its control. You know that even if you stumble, you will continue moving forward. And when persistence becomes your default response, discipline becomes stronger than temporary emotions. Disciplined individuals also develop a habit of reflection. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, they periodically examine their progress. They review what is working. They identify what needs improvement. And they adjust their strategy accordingly. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. Without reflection, mistakes repeat themselves. With reflection, mistakes become valuable lessons. Over time, the disciplined mindset creates a powerful psychological transformation. Failure becomes less frightening. Challenges become opportunities for growth. And obstacles become part of the journey rather than barriers to progress. This mindset allows disciplined individuals to continue moving forward even when others stop. And that persistence often creates extraordinary results. Because success is rarely determined by talent alone. It is often determined by who continues the longest. But discipline ultimately leads to something even deeper than persistence. It leads to personal mastery. A state where disciplined thinking becomes a natural part of how you approach life. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined individuals integrate everything they have learned into a long-term lifestyle of growth and self-mastery. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored the disciplined mindset. Key ideas include: failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the learning process. Resilient thinkers interpret setbacks as information rather than defeat. Emotional regulation helps disciplined individuals remain calm during challenges. Long-term perspective reduces the emotional impact of temporary failures. Reflection and persistence transform mistakes into valuable growth. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 11, The Disciplined Mindset. In the next chapter, we will bring together everything you have learned throughout this audiobook. You will discover how discipline evolves from a skill into a lifelong system for growth and mastery. Let's continue to Chapter 12, The Discipline Mastery Framework. Chapter 12, Living the Discipline Code. Turning discipline into a lifelong operating system. In the previous chapter, we explored the discipline mindset. We learned how resilient thinkers interpret failure differently. Instead of viewing setbacks as defeat, they treat them as information, lessons that help refine their strategy and strengthen their progress. This resilience allows disciplined individuals to continue moving forward when others stop. Now we arrive at the final chapter of this journey. Because discipline is not only a tool for short-term productivity. It is not simply about completing tasks or reaching individual goals. True discipline becomes something deeper. It becomes a way of operating in the world. A system that shapes how you think, how you act, and how you make decisions throughout your life. This is what we call living the discipline code. At its core, the discipline code is not about strict rules or rigid control. Instead, it is about creating a reliable internal system that guides your actions toward meaningful outcomes. Think of discipline as an operating system for your life. Just as an operating system controls how a computer functions, discipline governs how you respond to opportunities, challenges, and distractions. When the discipline code becomes your operating system, decisions become clearer. You begin to ask different questions. Instead of asking, "What do I feel like doing right now?" you begin asking, "What action moves me closer to the life I want to build?" This shift may appear small, but it changes everything. Because most people make decisions based on momentary emotions. They follow comfort. They avoid difficulty. They react to whatever feels easiest at the moment. But disciplined individuals make decisions based on long-term direction. They align their actions with their values, goals, and vision for the future. Over time, these consistent decisions create powerful results. Living the discipline code begins with clarity of purpose. Without a clear direction, discipline can feel meaningless. Effort without purpose quickly turns into frustration. But when you understand what you are working toward, discipline becomes meaningful. Your goals may involve career growth, personal development, creative expression, financial independence, health and well-being, or contributing something valuable to the world. Whatever your purpose may be, discipline becomes the bridge that connects intention to reality. Another important aspect of living the discipline code is consistency. Many people attempt dramatic bursts of effort. They work intensely for short periods and then lose momentum. But the discipline code values steady progress over dramatic intensity. Small actions repeated daily produce extraordinary long-term outcomes. Reading a few pages every day can lead to hundreds of books over a lifetime. Practicing a skill regularly can lead to mastery. Saving small amounts consistently can build financial stability. These results often appear gradual at first. But over time, the effects compound. Consistency transforms small actions into powerful achievements. Living the discipline code also requires self-awareness. Disciplined individuals regularly observe their habits, thoughts, and behaviors. They notice when distractions increase. They recognize when motivation begins to fade. And they adjust their systems accordingly. Self-awareness allows discipline to evolve. Instead of forcing rigid routines, disciplined individuals refine their habits based on experience. They learn what environments support their focus. They identify the times of day when their energy is highest. And they design their routines around these patterns. This adaptive approach keeps discipline sustainable over long periods. Another powerful element of the discipline code is identity. Earlier in this audiobook, we discussed the importance of the identity shift. This concept becomes even more important when discipline becomes a lifelong system. When discipline becomes part of your identity, your behavior changes naturally. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. Someone who completes what they start. Someone who chooses growth over comfort. This identity influences every decision you make. Because when your identity is aligned with discipline, consistency becomes easier to maintain. You are no longer forcing yourself to act. You are simply acting in alignment with who you believe you are. Living the discipline code also requires balance. Discipline is not about eliminating rest, creativity, or enjoyment. Instead, it is about placing these experiences in a healthy structure. Rest becomes intentional rather than accidental. Recreation becomes refreshing rather than distracting. And enjoyment becomes part of a balanced life rather than a substitute for meaningful effort. This balanced approach prevents burnout. It ensures that discipline remains sustainable for years rather than weeks. Finally, living the discipline code requires long-term vision. The greatest achievements rarely happen quickly. They emerge through years of focused effort and consistent improvement. Disciplined individuals therefore view time differently. They are willing to invest effort today for rewards that may appear far in the future. They understand that every disciplined action is a small step in a much larger journey. Over time, these steps accumulate. They shape careers. They build expertise. They create meaningful accomplishments. And they transform ordinary potential into extraordinary results. When discipline becomes your operating system, life begins to change in subtle but powerful ways. Decisions become clearer. Progress becomes consistent. And your future begins to reflect the choices you make each day. The discipline code is not a single achievement. It is a lifelong process. A commitment to continuous improvement. A commitment to meaningful effort. And a commitment to becoming the person capable of building the life you truly want. Chapter Summary. In this chapter, we explored living the discipline code. Key ideas include: discipline becomes powerful when it functions as a lifelong operating system. Clear purpose gives discipline meaning and direction. Consistency transforms small actions into long-term success. Identity-based discipline strengthens commitment and follow-through. Balanced routines ensure discipline remains sustainable over time. Chapter Transition. You have just completed Chapter 12, Living the Discipline Code. You have now reached the end of the core teachings of this audiobook. In the next section, we will bring everything together in the conclusion, where we reflect on the key lessons and the powerful transformation discipline can create in your life. Conclusion: the future belongs to the disciplined. You have now reached the final section of this audiobook. The Discipline Code: How to Reprogram Your Mind for Success. Throughout this journey, we explored one of the most powerful forces that shapes human success: discipline. Not as punishment. Not as a restriction. But as a system for directing your life toward meaningful outcomes. We began by understanding the modern discipline crisis. In a world filled with endless distractions, instant gratification, and constant digital stimulation, maintaining focus and consistency has become increasingly difficult. The modern environment is designed to capture attention, reduce patience, and encourage comfort. And as a result, many people struggle to maintain long-term commitment to their goals. But this challenge also creates an opportunity. Because in a distracted world, discipline becomes a rare advantage. Those who develop it gain the ability to focus where others cannot, to persist where others quit, and to build long-term results where others seek quick rewards. Throughout this audiobook, we explored the psychology behind discipline. We learned how the brain forms habits and how impulses compete with long-term goals. We discovered how comfort addiction and instant gratification can quietly weaken self-control. But we also learned that the mind is highly adaptable. With the right strategies, it can be reprogrammed. We explored the importance of identity. True discipline begins when you stop trying to force yourself to act differently and begin to see yourself differently. When your identity shifts toward growth, responsibility, and persistence, your actions naturally begin to reflect those beliefs. We also explored the power of habit architecture. Daily routines and systems shape behavior more reliably than motivation alone. Small, repeated actions create powerful long-term change. Over time, these habits become automatic. Discipline becomes less about effort and more about structure. We examined the role of focus. In an age of constant distraction, the ability to concentrate deeply has become one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Those who can direct their attention intentionally gain a powerful advantage in learning, productivity, and creativity. We explored how delayed gratification multiplies success. The willingness to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term rewards allows disciplined individuals to stay committed to goals long enough for progress to compound. We also confronted one of the most common obstacles to discipline: procrastination. By understanding the psychology behind avoidance and applying structured strategies, procrastination can be weakened and replaced with consistent action. We then examined the importance of the environment. Your surroundings shape your behavior more than most people realize. By designing environments that support focus and productivity, discipline becomes easier to sustain. We also explored the discipline mindset. Resilient thinkers do not avoid failure. They learn from it. They treat setbacks as information rather than defeat. This mindset allows them to continue progressing even during difficult moments. And finally, we explored what it means to live the discipline code. Discipline becomes more than a temporary effort. It becomes a lifelong operating system. A framework that guides your decisions, actions, and long-term direction. When discipline becomes part of your identity, your life begins to change. Small improvements accumulate. Skills develop. Confidence grows. And the future begins to reflect the choices you make each day. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: discipline is not about perfection. No one follows their plan flawlessly. Everyone experiences moments of distraction, fatigue, and doubt. The difference lies in recovery. Disciplined individuals return to their path quickly. They continue moving forward. They remain committed to growth. Over time, this persistence creates remarkable results. The truth is that the modern world will likely become more distracting, not less. Technology will continue competing for attention. Convenience will continue encouraging comfort. Instant gratification will remain easily available. But in that environment, discipline becomes even more valuable. Because the future belongs to those who can focus. To those who can delay gratification. To those who can persist through challenges. To those who continue improving long after others stop trying. Discipline is not a talent you are born with. It is a skill you build. A mindset you develop. And a system you refine throughout your life. Every focused hour. Every completed task. Every moment you choose growth over comfort. These decisions shape who you become. And they shape the future you create. You now have the framework. You now understand the principles. The next step is simple. Apply them. Because discipline is not proven by intention. It is proven by action. And every disciplined action you take today moves you closer to the life you are capable of building. You have now completed the conclusion of The Discipline Code: How to Reprogram Your Mind for Success. In the next and final section, we will move to the final words, where we will reflect briefly on this journey and guide you toward the next steps in mastering focus, discipline, and mental strength. Final words. You've just reached the end of this audiobook. The Discipline Code: How to Reprogram Your Mind for Success. Over the past few hours, we explored a powerful idea. Your future is not controlled by motivation. It is controlled by discipline. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or uncertain. But discipline is different. Discipline continues working even when motivation disappears. It is the quiet decision to keep moving forward. To do what needs to be done. To stay focused when distractions appear. And to keep improving, day after day. In today's world, this ability has become incredibly valuable. Because we live in an era filled with constant digital stimulation. Notifications interrupt our thinking. Social media competes for our attention. Endless entertainment makes distraction easier than ever. And in this environment, people who develop discipline gain a powerful advantage. They can concentrate longer. They can build deeper skills. They can pursue meaningful goals without constantly being pulled away. And over time, those small disciplined actions compound into remarkable results. But mastering discipline is not a single step. It is part of a much bigger journey, one that involves understanding focus, behavior, attention, and the psychology of modern technology. If you enjoyed this audiobook, you may also want to explore the other audiobooks in this series. You can continue your journey with The Dopamine Trap, an audiobook that reveals how modern technology manipulates the brain's reward system and keeps us chasing constant stimulation. The Dopamine Reset, a powerful guide to breaking the cycle of overstimulation and restoring balance to your focus and motivation. The Focus Protocol, a practical system designed to help you rebuild deep concentration in a world filled with distractions. Digital Addiction, an exploration of how smartphones, apps, and online platforms are reshaping human behavior and attention. And The Attention Economy, a deep look into how the digital world competes for and profits from your attention. Each of these audiobooks explores a different piece of the same puzzle. How to regain control of your mind in the modern digital world. And the journey continues. The next audiobook coming soon in this series is The Focus Revolution: Winning the War Against Distraction. In that audiobook, we will go even deeper into the battle for attention in the modern world and explore how individuals can rebuild powerful focus in an age of constant interruption. Because in the future, the ability to control your attention may become one of the most valuable skills a person can possess. Thank you for spending this time investing in your growth, your mindset, and your future. And remember, discipline is not built in a single day. It is built through the small decisions you make every day. Every time you choose focus over distraction. Every time you choose progress over comfort. Every time you choose long-term success over short-term pleasure. Those choices are shaping the person you are becoming. Thank you for listening. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you in the next audiobook. The Focus Revolution.